about what happened. Everybody go ahead and sit back down again.
Oh,
Kind of got the blood pumping there a little bit, right?
You don't even sit with us at the table, right? You're acting like we're ostracizing you or something.
So tell me what happened during this game. How much did you guys communicate with each other?
Not at all.
No, I think the 2-minute prep was good, but once you start getting going, the chatter was kind of like distracting me at times, but my hand kept turning, and because I'm not looking at it, so I don't have that feel. And Angela's going, "Hey, stupid, lower your hand." And then I can feel it.
Did it to that.
And I just, but the point is, I wasn't getting it until Angela said, "Hey, straighten your arm out."
Right, so there was communication between the two of you.
It was.
So there's verbal communication, right?
Yep.
Clearly
Yeah.
there's a lot of verbal communication going on. What about nonverbal communication?
We were all laughing, so we were having fun.
Body language.
We
were watching body language.
Yeah, I could see Tom's hands. His hand would maneuver, and I was totally focused on. Well, when we did it together, I was both dropping it in your
When
hand,
you saw
and
the
then I
other
was dropping
person,
it
you
in.
would adjust.
Yeah, and then
You're
dropping in John's
adjusting
hand.
or trying to adjust to the other.
But I think you have a tendency, the hand that you're receiving the ball, it starts wandering. You know, like it's got a mind of its own.
So tell me who was in charge of your team? Who made the decisions about what your process would be and how you would get the balls through the system?
I think everybody was.
I think we definitely had a team effort.
I think everybody was doing it. Nobody was like mandating any particular.
Okay.
We tried it, we worked it, we discussed it.
There was suggestions, and they said, "Okay, let's go with it," and we went with it.
So to whom were you guys accountable?
But I think we still
I'm
leaned
accountable.
on our two normal leads here. I think I still looked at John and Tom being the lead of it just because they're my leads in day-to-day life.
Okay.
Or at least at work.
Or I'm very opinionated.
Okay, so there's still some of that hierarchy going on, right?
Type A, type B personalities out there.
Observers. We had 2 observers here who weren't actually playing the game. What did you guys observe about the dynamics of the team?
Be gentle.
Like I said, there were type A and type Bs. I mean, there were people who had kept with ideas, and they did discuss it, and we came up with it as a team. They came up with a method to do, and they did revise them, and I think y'all had a good idea to do your inner and outer circle. I think that definitely increased your speed quite a bit. So they were willing to modify their processes to make their.
So that goes back to that openness idea, right? The openness, the courage, the willingness to listen to new ideas, to try something different, right? I heard a couple of you toward that last iteration, you were going to take maybe a risk or 2, right? To change. Yeah. That takes a little bit of courage, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The courage to change
right.
It was a big change.
Right.
It was a big change.
Right.
Because I expressed my concern to Tom. I go, "That's really a big change." He goes, "That's agile."
When you take a risk to go ahead and change something, right, and to improve your process, and you take that risk, what happens?
You either fail or you succeed.
Yeah, you learn from it.
Yeah, you learn.
You learn from it. That's huge, okay? Something else you guys talked about was that you have to trust that the person before you is actually going to get that ball into your hand. You don't have to always look at what the other person is doing, right?
That's all feel, yeah.
Right.
That's team.
That's team.
Right. You have to trust your team.
Right. Which, again, is huge, right? Trust is a huge part of this working together. When you have that trust, you're willing to risk, right? You're all in it together, so you either you succeed or fail together as a team. But that's also going to depend on how you define success.
Well, we went from 63 to 80. What was the magical jump that made that happen? And I'm
short
not
arms,
really
long
sure.
arms.
Yeah. Short arms, long arms. I mean, that was obviously we did it on the one before that, but I think we just really refined that inner circle and the outer circle. That was a big jump.
We took the strengths.
Right.
We played with the strengths and used
The
that.
strength was the arm length in that
Right.
particular case.
Yeah.
And then I
Not
think
that that's good or bad. We
right.
just
we also
used it to our advantage.
right. We also
Yes.
used the communication more of cup your hands, get your hands cut, throughout, because as some folks were you know, kind of starting to get like this, is like, oh, cup your hands, and that would refocus people. And so refocusing during the event also helped as well.
So that's part of that
We only
continuous
dropped one.
communication, right? That might be verbal communication, hey, cup your hand, it might be something nonverbal, where maybe you look at one another, you make some sort of eye contact or something like that. So communication doesn't necessarily have to be verbal all the time.
And even if we dropped the ball, we giggled. It's not like we got like
Yeah.
upset or anything. We just giggled about it and we just kept going.
Ah.
And that again, that's another huge point, right? Because this is an environment, the Agile environment is one in which you're innovating and you're learning lessons, right? If you make a mistake or something doesn't work,
It's okay. Just keep
exactly, if you're in a punitive environment, and I've been in a couple of those, right? It doesn't work. If you're in a punitive environment, people are not going to innovate.
They tend to shut down.
Exactly. So those of you who are in leadership positions, and by the way, you're all in leadership positions, right? Need to foster an environment where that kind of innovation and risk taking is okay, and it's okay to make mistakes, right? The only people who don't make mistakes, I was told this years ago, the only people who don't make mistakes are the people who never do anything.
Or they're dead.
Well, that's their mistake.
So you have
That's
to
their
be dead.
mistake, right?
You have to be
It's-
dead.
I'm sorry, I don't believe nobody makes it. That's their mistake.
Right?
They don't do anything.
That's, right, so
And
that's a great
and
point.
the other thing is if you don't make a mistake, you're not
Can't
learning
learn.
anything.
Right.
You're not learning
Right.
anything.
Nah.
Yeah.
Now, the other key though, right, is to learn from that mistake,
Yes.
right? Don't keep doing the same thing over and over again expecting different results. You learn from that mistake and do something differently.
As I told my daughter, it's okay to fail. It's not okay to be a failure, because there is a difference. A
Right.
failure is a person who quits.
Okay? Yeah, so you never stop learning, right?
I had to hit her in the head a few times for that one before it sunk through.
Telling you about it.
Right. So let's see what Steve Jobs has to say about this. So, by the way, this was kind of funny.